Today is a day of great joy. It's a day of great joy. Today, for the first time, of course, these students of this parish, both the school, the prep, and there's, I think, a couple of homeschoolers as well, will receive Jesus for the first time in the Holy Eucharist. It really is a momentous occasion. And you children know, because you've been taught throughout the year, that it's not a symbol. And it's not just a reminder like Remembrance Day, when we remember all those people who died so that we could have freedom. They died in the war. We remember them, but they're still dead. You know, they're in the next world. But this is a different kind of presence. And Jesus makes this clear in John chapter 6 when he says, "He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood drinks my blood, abides in me, and I abide in him." This means that Jesus really does come to live with you. He really does come to live with you. And to the parents, today is not only about your children. This moment speaks directly to each and every one of you as well. Because your child, as you know, cannot come to Mass alone. Your child depends on you 100%. And that will only last a while, because you will experience at some point when they start to, it's going to happen very soon, maybe 10, 13, 14, when they start defining their own boundaries. And they want to know that they don't depend completely on you, even though they do. And that is a negotiation and a tension that will last for years. But while you have them as 100% dependency, it's so important that you take advantage of this opportunity, this window, this time of grace. And it really is a time of grace that God is offering you. Here's something that priests hear again and again. And this is the way I'll phrase it. So a child receives the Holy Eucharist, First Communion, and then, depending on home habits, asks their parents, not in these precise words, but if you kind of strip it down or unpack it, the sentiment is there. So I know it's not in these exact words because they're not little theologians. But the question is, if he's really there, why don't we go every Sunday? Why don't we go every Sunday if he's really there? And they actually do believe he's really here. Partly because God has given him the gift of faith. And let's admit it, partly because you and I tell them. It's both ways. God depends on us to do this. It's really quite astounding. Like Jesus saying to defective individuals, go and preach about me to the whole world. It's like, whoa, I could do it much better. I won't make as many mess ups, but I'm relying upon you, my disciples. It's really quite astounding if you think about it. God depends on his own children to help his children hear about him and be taught about him. So if he's really there, why don't we go every Sunday? With this initial conversation, or two or three, there will come about, usually when it boils down to it, two decisions or two responses. Yes, we will go, or perhaps we're going already, or no, we're too busy. And just up front, I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. It's not my game. But if you come to Mass and don't want to be challenged, you should leave. Because we're all challenged, right? I'm challenged by the gospel. And if we don't feel a bit, then we're not really listening to Jesus. And all you have to do is read the Gospels to know this. He challenged everybody because he's not a human person. He's God. But he does this because he loves us, not because he's trying to somehow be one-upmanship or smart-alecky with us. So the answer sometimes comes, we're too busy, which is all too often a voiced response today. And if this happens, faith will atrophy. It will, like a muscle that's not used, it will atrophy. It will diminish. Maybe not be lost, maybe not die, but it will definitely atrophy. If the answer is yes, then your own faith will either grow or be strengthened. And children's faith does prompt us or kickstart or augment our own faith. I still today look to as an example like St. Carlo Acutis, who's a young, I'll say it, kid who's now in heaven. He's a boy. After his first communion, he never missed Mass. I miss lots of them. But he can either discourage me and say, well, I can never reach that bar, or he can encourage me to be faithful now, today. Because he loved Jesus so much in the Eucharist, he never missed Mass after 7 years old. It's like, whoa. And he actually brought his parents back to church. And he brought his aunts and uncles. Because when he went on vacation, his love for Jesus was so authentic, so sincere, so genuine, and so persistent, they had to take him to church. They just couldn't argue with this boy. So children's faith really has the potential to augment our own. And parents really grow in proportion as they sacrifice themselves for their children. They really do. You parents, you already know this. Perhaps it's just sitting back and reflecting on this, why it's so important and why the investment in this area is just so worth it. Most families are not choosing bad things, but they are choosing too many things. Too many things. Whether it's sports or activities or just schedules at a higher sort of umbrella kind of level, there's no such thing as time management. It's really important, and we don't have time for this. There's no such thing as time management. It doesn't exist. Leaders are saying this all the time now. It's only about one thing, and that's priority management. That's all it boils down to, is priority management. Because we can't do everything. It's just not possible. Only God can do everything all at once. So it's really about priority management. And Jesus is actually very clear on this. Although he never used the word priority management, he does teach in Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you. And you could almost hear him say, won't you trust me? Won't you trust me on this? And actually our Lord is only voicing what God said to the people through Moses. Love the Lord your God and serve him alone. You shall not have other gods before me. Because if you go your way, Israel, and you just read the Bible, one of the marks of authenticity of the Bible is that God didn't scrub it. The good's there, the bad is there, and the ugly is there. The really ugly it's all there, because that's the human condition. With God, playing around with God and the other gods, and then abandoning God. God doesn't scrub the Bible. He actually leaves it all in there for you and me to learn what happens when we give ourselves completely to him and when we don't. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you. But you can't do everything. Your children can't do everything. This is a really hard lesson to learn in life, because we try to do everything. Never works. So first, always God. And second, and then everything else in its proper order. When the order is right, life sort of tends to come together. Doesn't mean there are a lack of difficulties or problems or sufferings, but they're kind of all seen through a lens of priority. But when the order is wrong, even good things can feel like a burden. So who are you listening to? Because we're all listening to somebody, as I'll mention tonight and tomorrow with Good Shepherd Sunday. Who are we listening to? And allowing our children, your children, to listen to look to for guidance, for direction in life, to reach the next life, because that's the ultimate goal. We have all these goals in between: school, grade 8, high school, college, university, trade, whatever. But then the ultimate goal, all these goals need to be serving this goal, for that to have true meaning. And a lot of Gen Z are discovering this now because they're coming back. They're looking, they're interested, they're paying attention to longings in their own heart because they long for meaning in their life. It's so important today that we find good teachers, good mentors, and we do find these in the history of the church. Some of my favorite, I've talked to the children about this on Wednesday, and that is a group of 49 Catholics Christians in North Africa in the year 304 AD continued to meet for Sunday Eucharist on the Sabbath. Our Sabbath is the Sunday, the Lord's Day. And the imperial order forbade people under Diocletian, who was a vicious anti-Christian. So they were persecuted mercilessly, and he forbade people to gather for worship. They did it anyways, every Sunday, 49 of them. They were caught by the guards, dragged before the governor, and they were asked, why do you do this contrary to the imperial order? Their answer is famous, if you're a Christian. You remember what I said to you in Latin on Wednesday? All right, I'm going to teach you. I'm not going to teach you Latin. I'm going to say this over and over and over again because it really sums up what this is all about. Sine Dominico, non possumus. Big words, aren't they? Sine Dominico. If you're Italian, you probably know this. Sine Dominico, non possumus. They answered almost as one. Without the Lord's Day, we cannot live. The Lord's Day meant going to Mass. Clearly, it meant going to Mass. Not just a Bible service, it meant the Eucharist. Without Sunday, without the Lord's Day, we can't survive. We can't live. This wasn't just a hashtag. This actually resulted in their being put to death. Being put to death, martyred for this truth. So the Roman Empire saw these ordinary citizens as breaking the law. But the church looks at them as faithful, extraordinary witnesses and disciples of Jesus Christ. And they teach us, if we allow them, what this really means, what this priority is, should be in our life. They are known as the martyrs of Abitinae. They were willing to die because they knew the Eucharist was not an optional thing. It's essential. Not an obligation, but really is oxygen to the soul. Today, no one is threatening us with death, yet. Although many Christians in the world do have the threat of death hanging over them. But something else is happening. And we all need to sit back and reflect on this, and be very much aware of it. It's something I think is far more insidious than actually having the sword of an imperial guard at your neck. And that is the noxious poison of busyness, of distraction, and of overcommitment. The evil one just wants us running at a pace that we just don't have time. I just don't have time. And it's a lie. It's a lie. It's not about time management. It's about priority management. And if we give in to this, then God can and does slip from our life and our children's lives. The witness of the early church captured in the Acts of the Apostles today in chapter 2 says, they devoted themselves to the breaking of bread. These are catchwords for what we call Mass, the Eucharist, the breaking of the bread. You don't gather and put your life at risk for a piece of bread, but you do if you believe it's the Eucharist, really present. So they built their lives around Jesus. They were working people. They had to make a living, make ends meet. But Jesus was the center of their life, and they soon came under persecution for doing this. Children, today you will receive Jesus in the Holy Eucharist. And here is your mission. Love him. It's very important to love God, to love Jesus, and to tell him many times, I love you. I think if you tell Jesus many times, I love you, and you try to mean it from your heart, when you grow up and if you get married, you'll tell your spouse, I love you, and you'll mean it. This stuff cascades in our life. It really does. And talk to Jesus. Talk to Jesus. Pray to him. Parents, your child cannot carry this alone, as I mentioned a while ago. Encourage them by your decisions and actions to be strengthened in Jesus, whom they believe. So lead them. I really encourage you to continue bringing them to Mass and show them by your words and by your actions. The question is, will this be a moment or will it become a habit? Is it a moment, like a box, or will it be a habit, something done every day? Sine Dominico, non possumus. Even if I don't feel like I'm there, I want to be there. So try to make Mass, parents, a Sunday a non-negotiable. Sometimes we just have to make that decision from a human point of view and ask the Lord to back it up, and He will. For children, speak to Jesus after communion and say just very, very simply, Jesus, I always want to be close to you. Jesus, I always want to be close to you. I say that every morning. Jesus, help me never to go astray. Jesus, you know I love you, but I don't love you like I should. Help me to not go astray today, because today is the day the Lord has made. Yesterday ended at midnight. Today, Jesus, help me to be faithful. Every day I say that when I get up in the morning. So today is not the end, it's the beginning, and it's a wonderful beginning. Because once you have received Jesus, you begin to understand something very important that hopefully we adults can help you really kind of crystallize and live out each Lord's Day. Sine Dominico, non possumus. Without the Lord's Day, I cannot live.